So the next part of building interest is really focusing on the pain. People, typically at the end user, the people who use your product or service, what they want to do is get out of some kind of pain, solve some kind of problem. Higher ups, executives who look further out may be interested in potential and the effects long term. But typically, the people who are using your stuff or want to use what you're selling have a problem that they want to solve. So this may be costs less money, reduces frustration, keeps them safe from getting fired or pressure putting on them. It increases their quality of life in some way, or it just really solves something about how they are judged, how they spend their day. And you have to think through these things to create the questions that you want. Now, building into the objective of building interest is to take action. What we want to do, and when we know we can get out of the interest stage, is when you feel they will take action. Action is meeting again, having another demo, a presentation. And the mistake that people make is they try and do too much in individual meetings. We are all focused on getting it done this quarter, this month, this year, but they're not. They want to get comfortable with you, the company, the idea, and we actually sell faster by moving at a consistent pace. Not a slow pace, a consistent pace. The next meeting could be in 2 days. It could be in 2 weeks. Whatever fits. The problem, what we typically do is we respond to them. We give them a quote at this point, which is the biggest mistake because you don't have the technical sale and you don't have the business sale. And we're relying on this person to go have a great conversation with somebody. So build the problem up to the point where they'll take action. And what you want to do is really discover the pain. Keep going. How are they doing it now? What impact does it have on them? What problems do they run into? What frustrations? What irritations? How is it going to scale a year from now? Time is the most powerful element at this level because they may be okay today. But what if your staff doubled? What if your business doubled? What if you got more responsibility? What if gets them out of their comfort zone? Because they've gotten curiosity. Here we got to build interest. We've got to get them excited. Ask them, what do they run into? What's their typical day like? What happens when? This gets them thinking about the impact that this problem has on them. Too often we're focused solely on what we do and how we do it and how we're different. And there's a time for that. But until they ask, the timing is probably not right. So what can go wrong? How does this affect you? That's the most important part. The other part is who else does it affect? Does it affect their manager, their coworkers, their morale? That will also impact them. How does it impact your family, your private time, your ability to go home at 5 o'clock, your quality of life? This is what will build interest. This is why people take action. Because in B2B sales, they're not spending their money. They're spending the company's money, which is a very different element, which means that they have to put political capital into the deal versus cash capital into this deal. And how does this compare to what you're doing now? And what would the world look like in the future? Then build into who else does it affect. Your day, your mood, your income. We only want to stay here long enough to the point where we will get a commitment to take action. That's the objective here. The objective here is not to get the technical sale or the business sale. The objective in each meeting is to get the next meeting to take these tiny little steps down the decision process. Too often we think of this as the simple sale where we want them to ask for a proposal. We take that as a positive thing. Most often it's just a signal that they don't know what to do next. We have to teach them what to do next. What does the technical sale look like? They're going to have to validate what you sell compared to how they're doing it today or the alternatives of doing it with somebody else. If they don't do that, the deal's going to stall eventually. Somebody's going to ask that question. The same is true with the business sale. You could get them all validated on the technical side, but then when they go and bring it up to the people who have to sign the purchase request, they go, well, how does this make business sense? What's the return on investment? When do we get our money back? What happens if we don't do this? Why aren't we going in-house and doing this or buying it from one of our established vendors? All of those questions have to be answered in your sales process. Otherwise, they're going to have to answered internally, and they're not going to be armed with the information that they need to take action. So people really care about their life, but they also care about how it impacts their manager, their family, their team. And to really dig into this, when you have a bigger sale, this will really engage you in this interest stage. And again, just to get commitment to the next thing. Because what ends up happening is we're going to be delegating the sale to them if we don't take this and guide them through this. And then the typical pushback is going to be off of time. Well, can we wait? We can always wait. But our job is to make it a must-have and a must-do now. If you don't view your product as a must-have, you're missing the point. It's got to be a must-have. Because if you don't do it, your competitor's going to do it. If you don't do it now, it's going to cost you this much per month. What is higher priority than this? The cost versus the benefit of it. This has to be well thought out here. And this is going to be what's going to kind of get in the way of them taking action. So the typical pushback is clearly time, when, priority. How does this compare to the other things that we're doing? That's why you should ask, where does this fit in on your priority list? What's your top priority now? And then sell into that. Ask questions about that. What if questions? Have you ever thought of questions? Those will get you a lot further. They're going to be concerned about cost. What you got to focus them on is the cost of not doing it. And you got to pretty much give them examples, stories of other people just like them, preferably as close to them as possible. And the risk, they're going to think of the risk of doing it. It's got to be the risk of not doing it. You've got to be prepared for this. This is what they're thinking. And what you have to do is respond with, I usually say, well, I'm confused. What I heard was that this is important. Is time on your side? Time's never on anyone's side. It's the one thing what we don't have enough of and we're not getting any more of. And what is more important to this? Then you'll get into their priority queue. And objection prevention is really where it is. The magic wand question gets them out of that current comfortable kitty taking a nap state that most people are in. Everybody naturally wants to feel comfortable. Our job is to get people to feel a little uncomfortable. And what if there was a way? That gets them thinking, opening up to the possibilities. And again, the objective here is to build enough interest to take action. Now, some advanced ways of building into your questions is to use senses. Senses being visual, auditory, kinesthetic, feeling. Now, most men are visual. They judge and take in the world through their eyes. And so you use visual terms. What do you see us doing next? What would your ideal situation look like? More women are typically either auditory or kinesthetic. Kinesthetic questions really get people a little riled up, so you got to use them carefully. But that's why therapists always focus on kinesthetic. They don't say, well, how does your future look? They go, how do you feel about your future? What does it sound like? And when they use these keywords, now this is advanced, so this is something that you probably don't want to do immediately, but maybe review your conversations and say, Is this person a visual, auditory, or kinesthetic person? And you can ask yourself, I'm visual. I judge things by how I see them. But almost everyone makes decisions and actions off of how they feel. So we want to get them to a feeling state that there's more pain in delaying, deprioritizing, procrastinating about this than there is in taking action. Auditory, you'll get a sense of those people. They're usually quieter. Visual people are much more aggressive. So sound for auditory, sight for visual, feelings for kinesthetic. Come up with a few of these. Put these words in there, if you'd like, as an advanced. Anticipate the pushback and come up with 3 interest-building questions. You can come up with more, but the problem with more is you're not going to be able to memorize them. You can have your standards. What if you had a magic wand? When was the last time? How does this impact you, your family, your manager? Those type of things are pretty easy to remember. But play with this, come up with them, and we'll review them.